Prince William now owns one of the most important private farms in Britain. Camilla hasn't been able to sleep because of this. She treated that land like it was hers for years. She hired her sister and paid her. Her family was welcome to come over whenever they liked. After that, William took it over and did something that no one saw coming. Is very important to me, and I take my job very seriously. To be honest, I take my duties very seriously. Every member of Camilla's family was kicked out. Camilla turned red when she found out this. She went straight to the king and asked him to overturn William's choice. The royal family couldn't say a word about what Charles did next. The house that gave money to the betrayal. Queen Elizabeth II died at Balmoral Castle in Scotland on September 8, 2022. Things began to happen at that very moment that would change everything. Charles became king right away, and Charles could no longer be Duke of Cornwall after he became king. The law says that the Duchy of Cornwall goes straight to the next heir to the throne, which in this case was William. It was automatically sent to him. That night, William went to bed as a prince and woke up as a 2.2 billion kingdom, 135,000 acres of land in England and Wales, old farms, coastal homes, and investments that had been growing for almost 700 years. It's all his. A lot of people heard that and moved on. And land was given to a prince. Okay, but this is what no one bothered to ask. Where did the land come from? What did you really use it for? What does the fact that King Charles was in charge of it before William mean? That land not only made Charles rich, but it also paid for his other life. One of the first things Charles did after marrying Diana in 1981 was quietly lower his voluntary tax payment from the Duchess from 50% to 25%. He got back what he was willing to pay back. With that one quiet choice, he was able to make millions, more in personal income that went straight into his pocket. Diana thought she was making a life with him. She didn't know that the fortune she thought would protect their family's future was being used to pay for a secret life she didn't know about. By 1986, Charles and Camilla were having an affair again. The Duke gave money to both worlds at the same time. The event was on one side and Diana's home was on the other. Then there's Highgrove. In 1980, Charles sold 3 properties from his own wealth to pay for Highgrove House in Great Britain. That house was his choice. He bought it himself. He did it the year before he married Diana. He was still deeply in love with Camilla when Diana moved in. She made it look nice. She turned it into a house. They were raised by her in those walls. She lived in that house for years because she really thought she and her husband were starting a family. She didn't know what was going on around her because Charles let Camilla into the same house that Diana had decorated herself while Diana was away. That's where William grew up. He is sure of what it was used for, and this is what makes it almost hard to understand. William now has Highgrove. If he is Duke of Cornwall, it is his. Charles, the English king, pays his own son $700,000 a year in rent just to leave the house. The man who betrayed Diana, his children's mother, with that house and estate, now sends a check to Diana's son every year so he can stay there. But when William looked more closely at the duchy's finances, he found more than just Highgrove and the tax cut. Because those stories were hiding a name, and the story behind that name is much darker than anyone had said. The woman who worked for the company and what she did. Her name is Annabel Elliot, and she is Camilla's little sister. She has worked for the Duce for 20 years and made more than $5 million to be paid. And when you know who Annabel Elliot is and what she did, that money has a meaning that is hard to explain away. To really understand it, You have to go back to December 1992, when John Major, the British Prime Minister, stood in the House of Commons and told everyone that the Prince and Princess of Wales were officially splitting up. The world said that Diana's marriage was over. Something was going on while Diana was thinking about the most embarrassing event of her life. A woman was parked outside of Camilla's house with her car running. She was there to take Camilla away from the cameras, reporters, and chaos that had gathered in the street. Annabelle Elliott was that woman. She is Camilla's younger sister. It was her job to drive the getaway car on the day Diana's wedding was killed in Parliament. Though that wasn't the start of Annabelle's trouble. It was only the part that could be seen. Annabelle and her husband had quietly let Charles and Camilla meet at their country home every week for years before that day. The future king would come to Annabelle's house every weekend, and Camilla would be there to greet him. Annabelle knew everything that was going on in her house. She made it possible. Camilla and Annabelle also did something behind closed doors, away from the staff and reporters, that shows how little they thought about Diana. She was 5 feet 10 inches tall. Charles was 5 feet 9 inches tall. Her husband was shorter than her. Diana knew this all too well. At every event they went to together, she changed the way she stood, so she wouldn't look like she was too tall for the man she had married. She bent over. All she did every day was shrink herself in front of everyone to protect his pride. Annabelle and Camilla thought it was funny. It was funny to see Diana twist and bend herself in public for a man who was already seeing someone else on the weekends at Annabelle's house. But there was a lot more brutality than that. Charles put his hand on Diana's waist a week after they got engaged and said, "Oh, a bit chubby here, aren't we?" Diana was 19 years old. In her own words, caught on tape, she said that comment and what she was learning about Charles and Camilla set off a decade of bulimia, a terrible eating problem that started the week she told everyone she was getting married and took 10 years to get better from. Something inside her broke when the man she was going to marry said something. Diana had a problem, which Camilla and Annabelle knew about. In that group, everyone knew. The press kept an eye on Diana's body like it was a sport over the years. People called her skeletal when she was sick and hollowed out. People called her pudgy when she was fighting her way back and her weight came back. Every move she made was written down, recorded, and sold to millions of people. Diana's private pain became a show for everyone. Mariam and Annabelle would get those papers. These news stories would be read out loud to each other. They laughed. There were times when Charles was sitting in the same room as this. They didn't hear him tell them to stop. He didn't get up and leave. He laughed with them, according to sources. Then, at Annabelle's 40th birthday party at Lady Annabel Goldsmith's home in London in 1989, everything came to a head. Diana showed up out of the blue. She walked in, calmed down, and shook hands with everyone. But Charles and Camilla were nowhere to be found in the main rooms. Diana saw it. She began to look. The workers at music tried to physically stop her from going downstairs. She pushed them aside and went anyway. The two of them were sitting together alone in the basement, away from the party. Diana made Camilla sit down. She was honest with her and told her she knew what was going on between them. Camilla didn't jump or cry. She didn't say sorry. "What more do you want?" she asked Diana. "I want my husband." Charles didn't say a word. He did nothing and just watched it happen. Diana sobbed the whole way home. The officer in charge of her safety was in the car with her and Charles the whole way back. After the fact, he said that Charles and Diana didn't say a word to each other the whole time. Diana cried. Charles looked ahead. and the affair went on. Charles and Camilla got married 16 years after they met, and almost right away, Annabel. Elliot was hired by the Duke of Cornwall. The Duke gave her one over the next 20 years. 5 million to do work on the interiors of royal homes. No outside designs were ever thought of. The question that went viral was very hurtful. What was this money for? Was it for interior design? Or was Annabel getting paid for all the work she had done for 20 years? For putting on the party or driving the getaway car? You were right to laugh at those newspaper headlines. There was no way to prove either way, but everyone could see what it looked like. After that, William got the duchy. He looked over the books. He saw the bills. The name caught his eye. He saw everything that went with it. Everyone was shocked by what he did next. William quickly fired Annabel Elliot from all of his jobs. There was no notice and no time to adjust. He just stopped it. Camilla broke down in tears when she found out. She no longer had the calm, collected face she had worn for decades. Reports say she said that William was a mean boy, just like his mother. 5 words. She told everyone everything she felt in those 5 words. Diana was never seen as a victim in her eyes. She had always thought of her as a bother. Too much, too dramatic, and too hard. Diana's son was having the same kind of trouble. It was Camilla who went straight to Charles. She asked the king to call his son, change his mind, and let William know who was still in charge. Charles told her there was nothing he could do. William is now in charge of the duchy. The choice stands. Camilla didn't have anywhere to go or anyone who could help her for the first time in 40 years. But she didn't fully understand yet that Charles wasn't just backing off from a disagreement over pay. He was already trying to work out a deal with William that was much bigger. Something that showed how scared he was of what was going to happen to his wife. What William really knows and what he's getting ready to do. When Charles met William alone, William told him something shocking. Several people say that Charles made a deal with his son. Be sure to look out for Camilla after I die. Make sure she is safe and that she can get to the royal lands. I agree that Harry should be cut off for good. As he lay dying, the king sat down with his son and offered up his other son as payment. William didn't say anything. He didn't agree. Camilla should be more scared of that quiet than any argument, because William doesn't act out of anger. He makes choices that will last forever and are quiet. He took Annabel off the payroll without a single argument. He didn't even try to back out of the deal with Charles. All he did was move around and say nothing. People who have talked about how William feels about Camilla are not nice about it. People say that his anger has never gone away. He saw how hard that marriage was on his mother. He knows Diana's costs from the affair that were not in the news. The reason he has been diplomatic is because he is smart, not because he has forgotten anything. And there is a story that shows how badly this wound is still hurt, that is almost never told. After Diana died, William met Tom Parker, B.S., and Laura Lopes, Camilla's children, and they became his new step-siblings. He was able to have a good friendship with Tom. It was never warm, but it worked. When it came to Laura, things were very different. Katie Nicholl, a royal author, wrote about what really happened when William and Laura were together. Real fights with real weapons were had. Because of everything his mother had been through, William would directly blame Camilla and not say sorry. Laura would get angry and protect her mom. William always thought about these fights. She hurt his family, and he never forgot that. Camilla, on the other hand, has been acting in ways that show how scared she is. The private house in Wiltshire that she had owned since before she married Charles was sold to Ray Milhouse. It was her yard, her only place away from the royal world, where she could relax and be herself. It was the best way for her to relax, she said. After that, she sold it. She no longer owns anything on her own. The royal institution owns every single roof over her head. That organization is being watched over by Charles right now. As soon as Charles leaves, William takes it over. Sources say Camilla is working hard to get written promises of full staff access to royal homes before Charles dies. She wants to keep things safe while she still has a king on her side. But one thing can't be changed by any deal, any talk, or even the dying king's private wish. When Charles dies, two of the most important private lands in the world of the British royal family go straight to William. And he is the only one who can decide what happens in Camilla's life after that. What Camilla will lose when William becomes king. At Christmas 2024, something important took place at Sandringham House in Norfolk that no one missed. It was the first time that Camilla's son, Tom Parker, B.S., and daughter Laura Lopes would spend the holiday there. She told Tom that she hadn't spent the holiday with him in years and that she wanted him to come. The kids sat down at the table with Charles at the head. There was no William in the house, even though it was warm and full. Reports came out almost right away saying that William would not go if Tom Parker B.S. was going to be there. He didn't show up to a house that, by royal law, is already his and will be his in the future. He doesn't have a formal deed yet, but he knows he will. He stayed away so Camilla could spend Christmas in a house that was running out of time. In all of this, William's patience is the thing that worries me the most. Not because he is angry. He's not making choices based on how he feels. Every single thing he has done has been cold, planned, and unreversible. No words were said when he stopped Annabelle's payments. He didn't argue when he broke the deal his father made with him. Music. He skipped Christmas without a fight. It was a quiet, long-lasting choice made by a man who knows time is on his side. Because this is the truth that Camilla can't change no matter how hard she tries. Balmoral and Sandringham are not owned by the government. In a formal sense, the Crown does not own them. They are private property that belongs to the current monarch and is given secretly to the next monarch. When Charles dies, William gets both of his lands right away. The law doesn't give Camilla any rights to either of them.